If you're still watching us, this is the continuation of the program this morning on ITV, and we are coming to you live from our studio here in Lagos. I remain Charity Tanko, and I am here with my co-uncle Joshua Okata. Good morning, Joshua.
Good morning, Charity.
You know, you're always the one seated here, so yes. Today I'm taking over. Yes,
it's good to find myself on this part of the divide.
Yeah. The sea change is a constant thing.
Of course.
And what we'll be looking at today is the move by the Nigerian Senate to regulate other social media. Yes, there was a bill that passed second reading, sponsored by the senator from Delta North, Senator Ned Nwako, where he said where the bill is seeking that bloggers should have physical offices in Nigeria. If we look at the journey to regulating social media, it didn't start just this year. It began since 2019 when the Senate introduced a bill to regulate social media aided by the federal government, and subsequently the then Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, said that they will continue. They want to regulate social media to check fake news, hate speech, and stuff like that. And in the course of that, by 2021, yes, in June 2021, Twitter was banned when it deleted a tweet made by the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. And Twitter was banned for about 7 months until from June 2021 till January 2022. And the conversation has been ongoing that this regulation, Nigerians are actually not, many Nigerians are not happy with it. They see it as a move to gag the social media.
Well, what you just said is actually a fact. But then I did like to say that the real essence of freedom, as it were, because obviously social media as we have it today is an opportunity where people have, to express themselves. Informations and knowledge are being gained when, there is this exchange. But then I did like to say that the real essence of freedom, as it were, is when certain persons are given the opportunity to express themselves, but not without guidance. So it means that there are sets of rules, or as it were, regulations that are put in place to be able to make sure that everything is done orderly. So as it is, imagine a society where persons are given the opportunity to express themselves, but not without guidance. You already emphasized what will become the order of the day. There will be lawlessness, and of course, abnormality becomes inevitable. Given a situation where a toddler is kept in a room like this without the supervision of a parent or an adult, definitely you understand that there will be disaster. So it is the case when media, especially social media, is just giving, that free will for every person to explore. Now, coming to look at it, is it legal for us to be able to have social media platforms regulated? Absolutely yes. And this is because some persons are not professional, some persons are not well guided. So to them, every information is worth, disseminating, regardless of the fact that some informations might not be verified, some informations might be malicious. So in a bid to want to put out those informations without, doing your due diligence, doing your verifications to know if these informations are actually authentic, then it becomes an issue. So it is absolutely right, legally speaking, for a regulation of whatever sort it comes in to be put in place. But I'm not saying that in a bid to want to regulate social media, informations that are worth, being in the public domain shouldn't be there. But it should be regulated and it should be well disseminated so as not to be seen as libelous or malicious. Now, looking at the legislation, yes, it has actually taken effect as at November 5, 2019 by the National Assembly. But then, if we look at it criminally speaking, it is okay for us to look at it from that angle, because if people are not well regulated when it comes to their use of social media, it now becomes a tool in their hand to be able to just throw a jab at some persons or drag them unnecessarily. So it becomes criminal right now if information that you're putting out is not well regulated.
Well, I I may tend to agree with you to an extent,
Yeah.
but you and I know that there's a burden to effective regulation with sincerity of purpose and all of that.
Yeah.
Like way back during the past administration, the focus was on fake news, on hate speech,
Yeah.
and now who determines what is hate speech? Is the government. Because whatever you say, if the government wants to come down on you, they will say this is hate speech. And once it's established, then the next thing you're being picked up or you're being prosecuted and all of that. Yes, it is good to regulate it for misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. But even at that, we remember what have played out. There are stories that will come out that Nigerians know that these stories are real, but the government will say this is fake news. That is on the part, on the burden of regulation. But the beauty of this now, this time around, is that it is not focused on fake news, but rather on the need to, because on the need to, according to the bill, to generate revenue, that not having offices in Nigeria is denying Nigeria the opportunity to make money from these social media platforms, looking at the fact that that Nigeria, that has a population of over 200 million, majority of Nigerians are on social media 3 hours and 18 minutes per day. Let's just an average, and that is a whole time spent and money being made. This time around, Nigeria is looking at how they can make money from this social media. But the question is, if every blogger, Joshua, every blogger should have a physical office and have an headquarter in Abuja. Please, I beg you. So all these people on Facebook that are managing, I don't know how they're going to do it. Because the thing is that we now looking at the situation where everybody on Facebook, everybody that has an Instagram page, has a Twitter, X, and all of that, you must have a physical office in the state where you are, and it's a must. There must be one, which will be the headquarters in Abuja. Honestly, in my own opinion, I think the government is always ready and always ready to push in policies that they play out to the people as policies that are intended to help them. But when it comes to the National Assembly, and we all know that, and look at the person of the person that the person who actually sponsored this bill, because the moment the story got out, the social media was in a frenzy that they are doing that because they don't want people to talk about them. Because just before that particular, the day he sponsored that bill, the social media was awash with stories of his personal life, what was happening with his wife, and all that stuff. And Nigerians were saying that this is another move so that people will stop talking about that particular senator or the lawmakers because of what they do. For me, I feel that if Nigerian governments is truly interested in the well-being of Nigerians and wants to regulate things, first, there's the issue of sensitization. There's the issue of sensitization. Sensitize people. Let them actually know. You have made valid points here, which I agree with you, because this space, if it is not well regulated, we do not know what is going to happen, because already we are seeing things that are happening. Somebody will just wake up in the morning and pull up a video of something that happens like 5 years ago or even 10 years ago. You see caption, it is happening right now at so and so place, and the next thing, everybody is speaking it and sharing it. These are some of the things, and that is why there is a great burden. Even if we're going to go with this, for me, I feel that it should give it time. There should be time to sensitize people, bloggers, followers, users, what to share, what not to share, how to ensure that what you are putting out is authentic. It is not something that is going to cause chaos amongst Nigerians. Because believe it or not, since social media became a thing in Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians will rather believe what they read on social media or watch on social media than even believe what journalists put out there.
Yeah, talking about the issue of first, the legislative aspect, I think it's a bit too hasty, if you ask me, because, like you said, sensitization is very key. And sensitization takes different formats. It comes either on print media, it comes either on radio jingles, it comes on TV, it comes even on out of homes, the billboards you find on the road. You know, these are areas where people can be sensitized, and there's a reason for sensitizing people, to make them aware of what they never knew before it finally becomes an issue of legislation at the various chambers, you know, at state level and of course at national level. But then, looking at the individual who is putting out this legislation, in the person of Ned Nwoko, he might have been in some way disadvantaged at some point as a result of this issue. So perhaps some persons might be feeling that maybe it's a way of protecting himself or a way of you know, being vindictive. So he's trying to put up laws that will go against those who have that intention to put out news that are unverified, so as to be able to damage one's reputation. But give it as it may, the issue first of all is we are a nation that practices democracy. And for us to be seen as a nation that practices democracy, the rights to freedom of expression as enshrined in our constitution should be upheld. And while doing that, we shouldn't throw caution to the wind, which means that there should be some level of regulation, which has always been, said. But then the issue of regulation, it varies from country to country. Facebook, as we have it today, Instagram, as we have it today, and other platforms, they have their presence across developed countries of the world. They have their presence here in Nigeria. Before, at some point in time, I think one of them moved out due to, harsh climate conditions and, of course, the economic issues. But then, the fact remains that they have their offices, in different countries of the world.
Except Nigeria.
Except Nigeria. But of course, they have their own headquarters where it is, situated. If an individual decides to want to buy into this idea of having your office, there's nothing wrong in that. For the most part, it might just be viewed on an average level for the purpose of visibility or accessibility to your target audience, where people can have the opportunity of accessing your office, do business with you and all of that. But if it is not geared towards that line of thought, then it becomes an issue, because we have seen cases where people who are viewed as top voices on social media platforms, make some certain statements, and before you know it, either they are being picked up, arrested, or even jailed, sometimes declared missing. We've heard persons like Daddy Yati at some point in time who have been known to make statements, but obviously for the past, say, 5-6 years now, no one knows his whereabouts. No one knows even if he's alive. The family now perhaps might have given up if really no hope is seen in sight. So this tells you that if they begin to move, especially the government begin to move towards the line of thought of having your office situated where people can access and have a headquarters in Abuja, it tells you that could this be for a reason of, zeroing on persons who might have very strong voice, especially when it comes to putting out information, so it becomes very easy to get at them. They become easy targets. I don't know why they are pushing towards the issue of having offices. And looking at it from the angle of revenue generation, who tells you that you cannot be at the comfort of your zone without having, a physical office and not make money on social media? People are verified on various platforms. They are monetized. So how many of them have physical offices when it comes to revenue generation?
The government is looking at how it can get its own share from what you and I are making. Let's assume you and I are making money on social media.
So if you decide,
that's what the bill is basically on.
Okay.
If you and I are making money on social media, we should be able to pay tax.
Okay.
We should be able to give back.
So they are verified. They are verified. So it means that their informations, the information they put out there is in the public domain. So why not go through the medium where you can get this information and get to know if their businesses are actually registered? And if their businesses are registered, you link it up with the right agencies that could be able to get revenue from what they make. But saying that they must have a physical office, it sends a dangerous signal. No one knows the hidden agenda. No one knows the hidden intentions of having to put up a physical structure where people can access. Because we've seen cases, like I said, people just make statements. Whether it is verified or not, before you know it, they are whisked away by security agencies. So it means that if my media outfit is strategically positioned in such a way that people rely on me for information, and those information might be at the detriment of certain government personalities, it means that my business is at risk. My life is at risk, and that of my staff is at risk, because anybody they see in the office, they pick the person up, and then it becomes an issue where we will not be able to express ourselves freely.
And there's also the factor of the issue of unemployment.
Okay.
One thing the government should also look at is that Nigeria is a country that is battling with serious issues when it comes to unemployment.
Yeah.
Unemployment, we have graduates who have graduated years, they've been roaming the streets with no jobs. Even the ones who acquire vocational skills, where is the conducive environment to be able to practice your skills or whatever? We are talking of a country that do not guarantee 24-hour, 7 days power supply. And we know that every business that we do in this country is one way or the other linked to power supply. There's nothing you do in the world now without energy, without power supply. That is one thing. And then we're looking at even the conducive environment when it comes to renting shops. And that is why you see a lot of people have their businesses on the street, not because they want to be on the street, but because they don't have the wherewithal to rent shops. So a lot of people key into social media because you don't need to have a physical office. It is an easier way to be employed, self-employed, or even work for another person and get paid instead of being unemployed. I think that is another angle that this legislators should be looking at. Although the bill just passed second reading, it will be subjected to a public hearing. That is if the Senate will so allow it. So the possibility of it scaling to the third reading is not 100% sure now, because by the time stakeholders come together and look at the nitty-gritty of the bill and discuss its merits and demerits, we may have a different thing. But the way the Senate is going about it this time around, I believe the Senate wants this particular bill to scale through the third reading. As we are speaking, our Nigerians are watching, and we also hope that those in power are watching. While they are pushing for this, and it is important to take into consideration the millions of Nigerians that are actually making money from the social media. They are not engaged in crime or anything. And it is easier for them because your phone can be your office. It's been their office for years. When this comes to fruition, you and I know that it's going to be a serious problem.
Of course, it's going to be a serious problem because, just as you said, some persons are avoiding a situation where if they are not whisked away, their business is in danger because, of course, there is a sited office somewhere where they can actually access. That's even on the one hand. Talking about the cost of even running, a business where you have an office that is physically situated where people can access, you will be saddled with the responsibility of paying rent, whether the business is booming or not. That's not the business of the landlord who has the property. You're also saddled with the responsibility of generating your own power supply because the national grid is not dependable, and that gives the reason for everyone being their own local government. You're saddled with the responsibility of paying every kind of utility bill, waste management and all that will come, and they will also require you to pay some money. You also are saddled with the responsibility of having to pay your staff because obviously having an office where people will site, the office will not just be there empty. You have staff who will be doing one or two stuff for you. So you're going to be paying a whole lot.
Give or take, there must be a cleaner.
That's it. Clean up. That's it. Even if there's no cleaner, the person who is a receptionist must be there to receive in visitors. So are you saying that all of these costs should not be factored in before you think of having an office space for a business perhaps that's just relatively new, depending on how long you've been running the business? So all of these are factors that an individual who runs a social media blog would have thought about before thinking of either to go for it or not. But now that they are making it look like it's a law, then they should now be looking at how they can enable these businesses to thrive. Because it's not just enough putting out laws that are draconian. You must have an office space where you operate. You must have your headquarters in the state capital. How are you going to put up laws that will enable this business see the light of day?
Well, we seem to be running out of time.
Yes.
It's already time. I've been signaled by His Royal Majesty Lekon that we have few minutes to leave this place. It's been a wonderful discussion. Social media, fiscal offices for bloggers. Well, it's going to be an uphill task for somebody to actually rent a place because I am a blogger. I have a social media page. It's been a wonderful discussion with you, Joshua.
Send me a charity.
Well, this is what we have from our Lagos studio here on the program this morning on ITV. As we are leaving this place, we are handing you over to our Benin Network studio.